Hiya crafters, Amy here, and I have a couple of pet sympathy cards to share with you today. Showing you right off the bat the products that I use. This is the Paw and Hand Stencil from acolorfullifedesigns. I have the Party Collection of Catherine Pooler mini inks, that's the Carnival one. I have a Pet Sympathy Stamp set from scrapbook.com. I have my trusty pixie spray and my blending brushes and my Wendy Vecchi Make Art Station tool. And as you can see, I'm going to get right into it. I'm actually ink blending directly on a card base of 110 pound cardstock, and I did use the pixie spray on this stencil. I didn't on the next stencil, so stick around to the end because I will create another card as well at the end using some other stencils. But I'm just working through the rainbow colors of this particular ink pad set. And I'm kind of playing on the idea of our beloved pets crossing over the rainbow bridge when they pass on. So that's kind of the theme that I'm going for here. My auntie recently asked me to make her a pet sympathy card for one of her friends who just lost her dog. So I'm making this for her. And I'm just kind of working through the colors, going back and forth if I need to blend a little bit more on the color before. But if you're familiar with these Catherine Pooler inks, they blend like a dream, and they're so vibrant and saturated in color that they're just so pretty and fun to work with. So that's pretty much it for the ink blending on this. You can see here I'm just going to carefully peel back the stencil. Now it is a temporary fixative. It won't hurt your cardstock unless you put it down when it's still wet. You just kind of let it sit for a minute after you spray it and it gets tacky. And then it holds right onto your project, and it's super handy for stencils like this. So I'm just going to get that stamp set out, this Pet Sympathy stamp set from scrapbook.com, and I'm figuring out what sentiments that I want to use and loading them up in my MISTI. I am going to stamp them out with a black pigment ink. This is VersaFine Clair Nocturne color, so it's a nice dark black pigment ink. It does take a minute to dry, so bear that in mind. As you can see, this stamp is well loved and used often, sadly. It's pretty dirty and not wanting to stick to my MISTI door, but I've really found this stamp set to be so versatile, and it's worked so well for me with the cards that I've had to make for orders over the years, or just for friends that have lost their sweet furry loved ones. But it just has such a nice mix of sentiments for the front and for the inside of a card. So it's really fit the bill for me in many ways. So I will link all of the products that I used in the video description box below. If you expand and scroll down, you'll be able to find details and links for those items. So just working through this process, stamping on the inside, and that pretty much finishes this first card. It's nice and single layered, but easy to ship. You can of course add more to it if you want, but I just wanted to keep it simple and let the beautiful stencil design kind of be the showstopper there. Now this is the Love Rays stencil. This is another older one from acolorfullifedesigns, and this one is just so fun because it creates a frame for your focal point. It's kind of like a built-in frame. It draws the eyes in right where you want it to. And for this, you can see I don't even have any ink pads out. I'm just using the residual ink that's still on my blending brushes. There's so much ink that comes off these little Catherine Pooler ink pads, and I do have these brushes only for dye inks. So I don't always necessarily clean them off. I'll kind of come back and use that ink later, and it gives you that nice, more muted pastel look. So I work through a rainbow color on that, and then I get some Black Soot Distress ink and my blending brush that's designated for black, and I'm just going to kind of lay down that pigment ink, just kind of masking off again with that post-it tape. But I'm just going to go at this a few different times. I want to make sure that little pupper schnoodle is nice and dark, and then again I'm going to come at it with that same black pigment ink just to kind of tie in the black that's on the dog with the black that's on the sentiment. But again, single layer, easy to ship, no nonsense, right on the card base. You can certainly dress this up, do it on a separate panel with a pretty die cut edge, or add some blingage, whatever suits your fancy, but I'm trying to keep it pretty simple for these two cards. So I pick another very sweet heartfelt sentiment from this stamp set and decide to stamp it on the front of the card. Just kind of figuring out placement, exactly where I want it to go. But isn't that heart love raised stencil just so great? I love it. I've made a card before with that and a cute little, I think it was like a little bunny hanging from a balloon or something in that area. It was just so cute. Very versatile, fun stencil to have in your crafty stash. So again, I pick another sentiment for the inside of the card, and that's gonna finish it. I got simple stamping, simple ink blending, but 2 cute pet sympathy cards to share. So I hope you enjoyed these. If you did, please hit the thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. Like I said, I will link all the products used in the video description box below. And yeah, hopefully you won't need one of these anytime soon, but if you do, maybe this will give you some easy ideas to kind of pull one together for that friend of yours that's grieving their loss. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you. Catch you next time. Bye.